My guest today is writer-director Blake Rice, an award-winning director who launched his professional directing and screenwriting career in 2018 with the film To Whom It May Concern, which was acquired by DirecTV. Now, follow-up projects included People Like You, where he received Best Director at the New York City International Film Festival in 2019, and soon after he directed The Creeper's Curse and The Recovery Call, both licensed by Prime Video in 2020. Now, after numerous short films over the past few years, he brings us the endearing dramedy T. The short premiered at the Cannes Film Festival as the only U.S. film, and it has qualified for Best Short Film at the Nashville Film Festival, as well as Woodstock, Palm Springs, and Holly Shorts Film Festivals, and it is now Oscar qualified for the 2025 Academy Awards. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome writer, director Blake Rice and his Oscar-qualified short film, T, to the show. Welcome, Blake.
Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it. Quite the rap sheet you're reading off there. There's a lot of pain and misery woven in between and suffering in between all of those shorts. But flattered to be here. Thanks so much for having me on. Such an honor. Thank you.
Well, you're very, very welcome, and I can feel your pain. I've been in television for over 20 years, so it may be glamorous to the outside world, but not behind the scenes, because it does take a lot of work when we're dealing with cameras. But for you, you do have quite the film resume. So when did you fall in love with filmmaking?
Honestly, it was at a young age. I want to say like 15 years old. My parents bought me a little Handycam camera, and I was making get kicked in the crotch videos of my friends for a little bit, but eventually started lobbying with my teachers. Could I do a video project instead of the test or instead of the essay? And some of them bought it, and so it kind of started into that, and that's how I wove into it. Eventually studied film at a school called Rowan University in New Jersey, and been making shorts ever since, and moving up and just trying to get better every day.
Well, I think you're on your way to doing some feature films, but let's talk about this incredible short, T. What is it about, and where did you get the idea for this film?
I got honestly, it's been the theme has kind of been kicking around in my head for a little bit. You always kind of pull inspiration from everywhere, but especially for a short, when you're looking for something that incites an incident right away and kind of strips down these characters to get to know who they really are, kind of a medical emergency is a great device to help you do that. And what initially inspired it was, T is a comedy about loneliness, and I saw an old audition tape from an actor, very talented actor, who was auditioning a scene about asking the girl's dreams out. And I actually thought in between the takes of him resetting was really interesting. And there was some real bravery there. And maybe if this wasn't for an actor, but for a real person, there's a real piece of the pie and a real hook for that theme of loneliness that we can apply there. So wove those two together. I'm from New Jersey. I grew up, messing around with my friends doing idiot stuff behind strip malls. So I knew that world. So I placed it there. Got some cool crew together that I'm really proud to be working with. And the rest is kind of what you see before you.
I loved that the time period is during the early 1990s.
Thanks.
Why did you choose to create a bit of a period piece and really a time before the smartphone was invented?
Oh, great question. Honestly, I have a profound-ish answer, and I got a cheap one. The time period is 90s to me because I just know that world, and I have so much to learn as a director. So I'm trying to just stick. What can I get command of story-wise? I know what it's like to be in the early 90s. I know what it's like when everyone leaves your hometown to go to college and you're still stuck at home. And I know that world. I can relate to that character. It's very New Jersey to me. It's very where I grew up. So that was, I just felt like we could really conquer that. I like that period as well because for me, there was so much growth, pain, suffering, life happening in that age. So there's a lot of meat on the bone there, and it's relatable to a lot of audiences that I want to reach out to. Why no smartphones? Plot holes. If you get rid of smartphones, you get rid of 90% of your plot holes. She could call 911 right away. So I was like, let's get rid of this. Let's get out of here. And I thought like maybe people in the early 90s also were a little more caring. And if someone was fell down on the street, I think people are a little more reserved now. They wouldn't rush towards someone. So I kind of wanted that place in there too.
And I like the fact too, because without the smartphone era in this film, people back in the day are more in tune to their surrounding. They're more in tune to the people around them. They're not digitally separated from
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
So even with a
Mm-hmm.
smartphone in your hand, we become digitally separated from those that are actually in the same room with us. And
100%.
I
100%.
love the location, behind a strip mall, a vacant space, and it really looked like a cool place to kind of hang out with your friends during the summer.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah. We had a great production designer, Jen Flanagan, and everyone is kind of we're all in like our low 30s now. And so pulling from that early 90s, like it's a good point of reference. And I used to make films where I was put in, it was murder mysteries out in the desert and it was mansions or it was like back of house restaurants. It was stuff that like I felt like I wasn't really I didn't know every inch of it. And this world specifically, it was a blast to scout because it felt familiar. It felt like I knew it, and I feel like all that translates to the screen.
Well, here's the cool thing about this film: you proved as a filmmaker that you can strip down a location, keep the storyline very, very simple, and everybody is glued to the screen to follow along with the story and to find out how it happens and how it ends. And
I appreciate
what
it.
the number one thing that caught my eye on this film, and we're going to get into the story, but I want to kind of get on
Hmm.
the technical side a bit here because I noticed this immediately. And
Mm.
so I did a little bit of homework. You
Oh.
use the Arri Alexa Mini LF with Leica R
Hmm.
lenses. Did your
Hmm.
cinematographer film the whole picture as a handheld? Because I didn't notice any static shots in this film.
Yeah, great, great. I mean, I appreciate you looking into it, and I'm down to talk specs on this thing. We had a great cinematographer in this thing, Matteo Spastos, dear friend, super talented, and he's making bigger and better stuff every time I talk to him. But yeah, we wanted to go handheld for mostly all of it, except for the intro where we're literally on a handy cam in his tripod. But the whole thing is handheld. We didn't really go studio mode on anything because it. I wanted to feel personable, kinetic, frantic, desperate, and it's as gritty as on the pavement. So it's got to feel that, and kind of our visual language needs to support that, especially through our camera motivation. Um, so I love doing handheld. It's also personally right now where I'm at taste wise. I I I like it feeling a little raw and a little more gritty because those are the kind of stories I'm connecting with. And so we went handheld the whole way through. I love doing it.
Yeah, it gave me a feeling of looking back in the day at certain films, Back to the
Hmm.
Future, Sandlot. It just has this open air feel because of of your location, the way it was
Mm.
filmed. But I also noticed that this film has a very great film grain to it. At first, I almost thought you actually used real film, but did you use anamorphic lenses?
We didn't shoot on anamorphic, but we did those rehoused Leicas, the Leica R's, I believe. Um, we applied a little bit of that. They're vintage glass, so it has a little bit of a grip to it on the image. But we also in post we wanted it to feel kind of nostalgic, a little romantic, and a little retro to the era we're shooting in. So we applied a bit of that in post. Shout out to our colorist Ryan Werner, did a great job there with Mateos crafting that image afterwards.
Yeah, the coloring was fantastic on this film.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Now, how did you come to cast a couple of very young, seasoned actors? You had Michael Gandolfini and Olivia
Mm-hmm.
Nikkonen. How did you come to
Mm-hmm.
get them?
Michael's been a friend for the past couple of years in New York, and our incredible producer Gabriella Piazza had worked with him on the Many Saints of Newark movie that Warner Brothers did. And afterwards, we became friends, and we had this new script coming up, and we're like, "Hey, man, any chance you want to take a read on this thing?" And he took an immediate liking to it, and he was so trusting and so fearless in this thing. He was a blast and a total honor to work with as well. And one of the things that was so cool working with Michael, as we're not friends anymore, we're actor directors. he came to all the auditions and he read off screen with everyone that was coming in, and he's crawling around on the ground pretending to be gasping, and he was an absolute blast and so trusting on the project. I can't speak higher to kind of his professionalism, his energy on set, and how also he's got some producer blood in him too, and so he had some real ideas for the story that did nothing but support it, and I'm super grateful to have him on board.
So it kind of made your
Olivia.
job easy.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. He fills in those gaps. You're like, oh, thank goodness he's settled. I can go worry about something else. And Olivia, we had some connections through some producers as well, but she auditioned, you said, in a self tape, and then came in and auditioned with Michael too. And she was a blast. We knew it was her from early on, but she also, she went out there and got and grabbed that role, and I think she brought entirely incredibly passionate and intelligent, delivery to this role. And her and I really developed this role of Tierney, had some fun with it, overwrote their backstory a bunch, and tried to pump that pain into the image on the screen.
Well, your character Nicholas, which is played by
Hmm.
Michael, of course, he's the main character. He's shy, maybe a bit insecure, goes through this whole rehearsal process to ask a girl out for tea. Now, do you
Hmm.
remember the first time you asked someone out on a date, and were you nervous?
Great question. Yes. Okay, I asked someone out. I can't say their name, but I asked someone out on AIM Instant Message. Do you remember AIM Instant Message? And she logged online and that door open sound happened and went, and then I messaged her, I said, will you go out with me? And she said, sorry, no. And then she logged off and that door slam sound, so it basically like slammed in my face. First ask out, didn't go well. But um, maybe it made me a better artist because you have to start with a pain point, okay? You got to start with that to develop the passion.
Yeah, I love that. I actually asked my wife out over
Hmm.
the telephone on an answering machine. Now that's back in the day when there you either had the cassette tape in the answering machine, or maybe it was
Hmm.
finally a digital chip back in the day. But for her, that was my experience, and of course, I had to wait for the return call.
That's tough. Very romantic though. The pressure is romantic, so you should get points for that.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I'm going to have to ask her. I think her father, my father-in-law, actually still has the tape.
That's good. You got to put that needs to be your. You need to send that whenever you're in the doghouse. You need to send that back. You need to send that back. Remember
Hey,
how brave I was.
thank you for the advice. So I think
Yeah,
I may
man.
have to do that now.
I
What?
gotcha.
Well, what I found so interesting in his rehearsing was that he showed his nervousness, but
Hmm.
he was trying to gain some sort of confidence and courage by practicing his delivery. But after he goes through the whole spill of asking her out, he's looking at the little camcorder. I was shocked, but it really plays into the character that he immediately practiced his response as if she said no. Why did you do
Hmm.
that?
I think it just. I think I wanted to establish where this guy thought he was in the pecking order, um, and how low his low points were. If you want to root for someone, you got to hear. We meet him at rock bottom. We learn her rock bottom later, and I thought it was a quick read. I thought it told a lot about him. Um, I think there's also something so brave in someone trying to better themselves, especially at that age. And so for him preparing for the worst at all time, it's really pathetic. This is a tough story. And when you have someone going through a really tough experience, other people can relate to that, and then other people can start to root for that. So I thought it was a good kind of North Star to create with him. But great question, man. I like that one.
Yeah, and because then I thought about the reversal. What if he was practicing as if she had said yes? But the more I thought about it, I'm like, no, I like the no part
Mm,
because it shows his fear, it shows his insecurity, but he's in the motion of trying to gain confidence, even though he knows he's lacking the confidence. So I love this whole push and pull dynamic within that scene with the camcorder.
hmm Well, it makes you think too. It's like, what is what is the real goal here? Does he really need to ask someone out, or is it really, a little more cathartic or deeper therapeutic than that? He really needs to just to go talk to someone. He needs to connect with anyone. This isn't really about, is it about getting a girlfriend? I don't think so. To me, it's about finding someone to connect with, or at least putting the foot out there and trying to, like, okay, the world beats me up a lot, but it's my time to take the reins. And I think that's part of the charge that he's putting forward there is part of that win, part of that victory can just be the conversation alone, which can be tough for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. And this is the thing about your film. I think for a lot of young people who will have the opportunity to see this film either now or into the
Hmm.
future, I think it's going to kind of give them a boost of confidence.
I like that. I like that. I hope no one gets stung by a bee, but if we're sharing some confidence across people, I'm down. I'm in. I support it.
Well, you put him in a dilemma or a situation where he got stung by a freaking hornet. That's like the worst flying insect to get stung by. Why did you go to the max with a hornet?
We got to get an allergic reaction. There's good irony in his face blowing up and his throat closing up when he's rehearsing, when he's scared to talk to someone. So if I take away his inability to talk, this is a new ground zero that we didn't know before. So device wise, it needed to be an insect that had a big allergic reaction and a quick read. Stung by a bee. Oh, we get it. He's blowing up. It just gave a lot of opportunity there and a bunch of devices there that I thought really worked.
Yeah, I kept going back rewatching this film because I'm like, I mean, because the character development for him, that's the whole story of this film.
Mm,
And then you
mm,
add the beast thing, you add the anaphylactic shock, which that was one very interesting dynamic. But like you said, you took his ability to speak away, which really made the situation, well, it was more dire, but it played perfectly all the way to the very end.
thank you, thank you. And it's also like we start just on a simple kind of I don't know weight of the structure. He talks so much off the top that I feel like we're okay going more subtle with the dialogue here and learning more about this new person. And I kind of always like that changing of hats, character to character, and kind of genre to genre. I like that changing of hats too. So I liked him taking that away. We've heard enough from this, and let's pull this lever. Let's pull the character's next lever. So I like kind of switching it up there and finding a device that works that way.
Yeah, it's almost like a two-act film because the first half, heavy dialogue. Uh,
Hmm.
Nicholas is practicing, and then the sting happens, and then the
Hmm.
second act, the dialogue is very minimal, but a lot of it is going to be coming from Olivia, or Olivia shows a lot of action
Hmm.
in delivering. Like she's trying to find an EpiPen, she's trying to make a phone call. I mean, so much is going on, and I love the way that you're going back and forth with the camera shots between what Olivia is trying to do and then
Yeah.
what Nicholas is going through.
Yeah.
And you put a lot into a short film, I will say that.
I appreciate it, man. It means a lot. Seriously.
Yeah, well,
It's
in the
not just
end,
me. It's not just me. There's a lot of people too that helped me pull this one off.
it takes a village to make
Hmm.
these
Hmm.
films, and this is an award-winning film. But in the end, after all of his rehearsing, she saw him at his worst. But in
Hmm.
hindsight, she was looking at him through the eyes of being there for him and saving his
Hmm.
life. I kept thinking, well, if these two got married in a T sequel, they would have quite the story to tell their children.
Yeah, that'd be me cute. That'd be me cute. There was definitely a story that they would love saying. But yeah, I thought a lot of it too is I love, Michael obviously has the hard arc in this one, but I think hers is a little more subdued and subliminal and also different kind of relatable. She's someone who is isolated and lonely in a different way, right? Like she rejects the world. Michael gets rejected by it. And so I liked finding her at the end of this and being a little more minimalistic in kind of her revelation here. being like, oh, I can actually prove myself. I can actually conquer some stuff. I actually can succeed in life. And I have the ability to do incredible stuff, which maybe I don't think she knew before. And so her journey is a little more internal and a different thing that hopefully audiences relate to as well.
You know, something else I noticed. He's looking at the girl.
Hmm.
He's wanting to connect with a girl that he may seem is out of his realm.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
but he wants to go for it anyway. So I
Yeah.
love his courage, and there is, it's funny because you created this character where he has a lack of courage or a lack of confidence, but then he's showing the courage at the same time. So there's this tug of war within ourselves when the insecurities want to get in the way, but then
Hmm.
she is the perfect opposite because she doesn't know that somebody desires to meet her, to spend time with
Yeah.
her, to know
Yeah.
her. And I think when she starts to learn, eventually, of course, we get this little glimpse at the
Hmm.
end where she realizes that the synergistic effect of these two characters couldn't get any better.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's a nice polarity, and there's like a spectrum to loneliness and isolation and inability to connect and longing for connection and grappling onto like the different kind of facets of that has been fun to explore on this, and I think there's more meat on the bone there too.
Well,
I'm glad it translated.
well, one of the most powerful things that I hope that everyone who sees this film, I don't care if they're an adult or a
Hmm.
teenager, but I thought the most poignant moment was the dialogue at the end of the film because it was so sweet. Because she says, "That wasn't so hard, was it?" Which
Hmm.
really proves we worry about things in which 90% of them never happen.
Oh,
And
100%.
I think you gave a lot of people a bit more confidence when they see this film.
I appreciate it. That's really, really cool. That's really cool. I hope they like it too. I hope it reaches, and I'm really grateful for kind of the festivals that have played us and kind of put me in a different, um, in a different room career wise. Um, and a lot of people bust their butts on this movie too and put up with me forever. And I've been working with a lot of projects with kind of that similar crew before this, and we got some fun stuff coming up. And so hopefully you'll be sick of me. And we're doing a bunch more of these as the years go on.
No, I mean, you're welcome back anytime to talk about more of your film projects. But I'm sure you get this question a lot on T.
Mm-hmm.
Who did the special effects and makeup on Michael? Because it was very, very real. I mean, my kids, they know what anaphylactic shock is. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen it. It is scary, but who did the makeup?
Incredible, dear friend, incredibly talented SFX artist named Mackenzie Brooks. And a great thing I like to share about her is that we've done a bunch of projects together too. Is we had to chase light on this one, so we end on a magic hour look, and because rain was coming in the following day, we had to shoot this whole thing in pretty much a day. And because of Mackenzie was 45 minutes early with Michael's last application, which never happens, by the way, never happens, we were able to get him on set. He's blind, he can't see. We were able to get him on set and shoot out the magic hour look of this thing. And because of her prep and her craft and her being so on the ball, we were able to pull it off. So I can't credit, a lot of the movie is credited to her, beyond just her ability to like crush it on the looks.
So, wait, so Michael could not see through that?
Through the last makeup application, his eyes are swollen so much that he can't see. His eyes are swollen shut. So we were guiding him on set towards the last one.
Oh, that just plays so well into his acting ability. So I
Hmm.
love that. But
Hmm.
what has been the audience's reaction to the film when they see it?
So I can't complain, man. It's been really cool. I think a project that kind of hits a couple different genres for people seems to go a long way right now. It's got some real drama to it. It's got some real perilous moments. It's got definitely some comedy and some shtick. but it ends with a little tug on the heart chord, and that's kind of the rabbit I'm always trying to chase right now. Is can you check all those boxes, but can you end well? And as someone who's growing as a filmmaker, it's the hardest thing, I think. Can you maintain an audience's attention, and can you end a project well and stick the landing thematically? So that's been some of our funner feedback on this, and we get laughs in the theater, and I think we're memorable enough with some of the imagery here of the anaphylactic shock. But I'm so flattered by the feedback and kind of being able to screen tea. We've been on basically a little tour right now of playing film festivals in the U.S. but also internationally, and so grateful for Cannes for taking us in competition this year. And after that, it really kind of opened up a bunch of doors in my career, which I'm super grateful for. And fingers crossed, we got some cool projects coming out, and I'm actually on set right now. We should have some feature film news. My debut feature, some news on that coming out shortly. And like I said, man, you might be stuck with me.
Hey, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. But I have got to ask, how in the world did you get into the Cannes Film Festival? Because I've talked to others, and it's not easy.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've been submitting film festivals for almost 8 to 10 years now. And I got to a point where I've been submitting to all the big ones and I wasn't ready. And I've been make my movie stunk, and I'm always just trying to get a little less crappy each project. And this one, we submitted everything on Film Freeway, but also I just cold submitted a can myself, and I didn't go through a distributor or sales agent or publicist for that. And luckily, it cut through the noise, and I couldn't be more thankful and appreciative of everything Can did. And I've been able to hear about their selection process, and it's grueling. And they championed my project, and they really curated not only in an amazing list of short films this year, but also directors who I'm beyond honored and flattered to be a part of. And again, I owe so much thanks to them for having me on board.
Yeah, I've talked to those who have been honored
Hmm.
to have a showing at Cannes. So
Phew.
yeah, and it does open doors
Hmm.
afterwards when people find out that you were there and your film was there. Man, you can. I mean, that speaks volumes. And just to hey, for many of you out there watching, and you're a filmmaker, maybe you're an up and coming
Hmm.
filmmaker. Don't give up on the dream. You just keep submitting, because you never know who's going to
You never
see.
know.
That's it. You
Just
never
yeah,
know.
just focus on getting better. That's all. Like the festivals are a game and they're a dance, and there's so much out of your control. But if you only focus on getting the project stronger and keep focused on that, eventually the rest of the industry will follow up.
Well, now that you're Oscar qualified, what is that doing to your mindset?
I can't think about that. It's crazy talk. Like I'd be like that. I'm just. It's wild that that sentence and that word is in the same phrase as my project and this project that we have. And um, I'm honestly, it kind of goes to the rhetoric I was just talking about. I'm just focusing on the work right now. It's flattered for T, but what's helped me move the needle professionally has always been one project in pre-pro, one in production, one in post. And as long as I keep doing that and I keep staying self-aware and keep trying to be a harder critic on my work and bringing people around me that are able to keep us, these projects moving forward and keep that healthy set going and keep us, being tough on ourselves, I think we're going to be in a great spot.
Yeah, I love the attitude, Blake, because I know right now there's so many people out there who got Oscar qualified and they are
Hmm.
nervous Nellies and trying to figure out the whole journey. I know I've seen
Hmm.
some extremely strong films this year, and you're up there with the best. So,
Thank you very
I
much.
mean, and this is a great film. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, it is a homage to everything 1990s. Now, T asked the audience to take a step back to simpler times where the summer days are long, the cool kids, well, they were terrifying, and saying hi to a girl of your dreams was beyond insurmountable. But this dramedy short film T takes us through the eyes of Nicholas Steep, played by Michael Gandolfini, and we watch the tenderness and the bravery of a young man who is doing all he can just to connect with someone. And when his bad luck turns worse, will the girl of his dreams, played by Olivia Nikonin, Will she be able to save his life? Well, this film will take all of us back to the time that we asked someone out on a date. Our first date, most likely. Now, some of us, well, we're shy, insecure, nervous, but somehow the experience isn't always fun or enjoyable. Now, for us guys, well, just getting someone to say yes feels like we just made it to the top of Mount Everest. T is a wonderful film. A short film in one location gives us the look and the feel of real film, and the story is to the point, adding in youth the pursuit of young love. It's endearing, and all of that disrupted by a hornet's sting. And who knew that an EpiPen could not only save the day, but bring Nicholas's crush into his life? So in a world of worry, insecurity, and a lack of confidence and courage, we need to heed the words of Olivia. That wasn't so hard, was it? So Blake, I want to thank you so much for coming onto the program, sharing your award-winning short film T with us today, and much success to you on the run to the Oscars.
Thank you so much for having me on, man. Absolute pleasure, and it means the world that you took the time to check out the project, and looking forward to sharing more with you. Thank you so much.
Hey, you bet, Blake. Hey, and you're welcome back anytime. I can't wait to see what you do next. And as for me, ladies and gentlemen, you'll either see me at the movies or from the red carpet.